Welcome to Real Estate Coaching Radio, starring award-winning real estate coaches and #1 international best-selling authors, Tim and Julie Harris. This is the #1 daily radio show for realtors looking for a no BS, authentic, real-time coaching experience. What's really working in today's market, how to generate more leads, make more money, and have more time for what you love in your life. And now your hosts, Tim and Julie Harris.
Welcome back. Today is part 2. We were talking about how to make massive money door knocking. And I realized as Julie was presenting the theme of this podcast series to me, I was realizing how many of you would just be instantly shutting your brains and minds and frankly closing your wallets to the opportunities that come from the other side of door knocking. And so what we did in preparation of yesterday's podcast, if you've not listened to it yet, is we actually went in and did a little bit of extra homework and found out all the people who are some of the biggest names in real estate who got their start door knocking, but also who continue to door knock. Now, I actually heard from some of them after yesterday's podcast. And the funny part was that many of them said they did stop door knocking and did stop doing proactive lead generation. A lot of them were sort of lulled into complacency by doing more passive lead generation, buying business, farming, marketing, branding, that sort of thing. And now they're migrating back towards what originally gave them so much momentum in their real estate careers, which is, of course, doing the proactive lead generation, such as door knocking, making phone calls, being in direct communication with people. That's what a market like this is all about. Isn't that what you want? Don't you want somebody to essentially clear the haze and be the lighthouse through all the fog? Don't you want somebody that's going to tell you the way forward without having to, frankly, suffer a lot of unnecessary, unforced errors? Of course you do. Well, so do all your friends, your family, so do all your neighbors. That's what you need to be for other people. So if you're feeling fear, if you're feeling a lack of leadership in your life, and you're waiting for someone to show up in your life to tell you what to do and show you how to do it so that you can actually, progress, you can build momentum during this real estate correction or whatever we're going to be experiencing. Well, you know what? The way for you to feel it is you to be that for other people. If you're looking for something, provide that for other people, and then what you'll find is that magically almost you start experiencing that as well. If you're not feeling appreciated, show appreciation to other people. If you're not feeling loved, show love to other people. If you're not feeling heard, listen to other people. It's when we do that we actually stop feeling those sensations of inadequacy, the feelings of really being irrelevant or being fearful. So just keep all these things in mind. You need to be the leaders in your local market, starting with yourself, frankly. Lead yourself first, and then scale that out to your family, your neighbors, your friends, and your family, and then your general market. And that is the whole the point of door knocking. People will remember you forever. And I'm going to tell you guys another quick story. I mentioned this gal before, but in Julie and I's opinion, she's legendary. There was an agent named Lisa McKivergen. And she is a RE/MAX agent, and she sold or sells, I'm frankly not sure if she's retired or not, so I don't know, in an area called, what was it called?
Is it Granville?
Granville, Ohio, yep. And so the story goes, this is before Julie and I were in real estate, the story goes that she was pregnant, and noticeably pregnant, and she set the goal before her baby was born to go and door knock every single home in Granville. Now, Granville's not that big.
No, but that's still a lot of doors.
And Granville's very hilly.
It is.
And houses aren't close to each other.
No, it's a major goal.
So she was, the story goes, the legend, I should say, of Lisa McKivergen, was that she actually accomplished that goal. And Lisa, to this day, I would be shocked if she's not still the #1 agent in that marketplace. So I want you to pull these pieces together. Granville is an area that's not new. It's not a new subdivision. It's an old community in Ohio. It's a college town. It's been there forever. And there were certainly a lot of embedded agents that have been in there for generations, brokers whose dads and grandfathers were real estate brokers in that community. And because Lisa went door to door, introducing herself, doing a lot of things that we're sharing with you guys today, she quickly became the #1 agent, listing agent prominently in that marketplace. She now was she's a big broker and the rest of it. And fast forward, that still momentum carries through generations. That's what doing the real work of real estate is all about. It's not hiding behind a keyboard. If you're not feeling confident, if you're not feeling frankly enthusiastic right now, it's probably because you subconsciously know you're not doing the real work of real estate. Nothing is going to make you feel better than going and having real conversations that are really helping people face to face, voice to voice. Do whatever it takes to step away from the keyboard, step away from the passive lead generation, and get out there and get to know people. Look, making phone calls is definitely more efficient than door knocking, but door knocking is the boost of motivation that most of you need. When you are in the action of making the contacts, having the conversations, how are you going to feel? Better or worse? How are you going to feel when you see yourself doing what you didn't want to do when you didn't want to do it at the highest level and you realize you made it through it, you didn't die? Are you going to feel better or worse? You guys get it? That's what this is all about.
That's right. It's a great way to build your skill conversation by conversation. So yesterday we talked about in part 1, what to say, how to get started in this. Now, listen to that podcast for part 1. This is part 2, starting with point number 5. Make sure you are also up to date on pertinent real estate facts like the current mortgage interest rate, what's being built around the corner from where you're door knocking, and anything specific to the area that people may bring up in conversation. Remember that you can always say, "That's a great question. I'm writing it down so I can follow up with you this evening. What's the best number to reach you later today?" Now, that last bit is a simple 2-sentence script, which should remove any fear and trepidation of getting yourself into a conversation that you can't get out of, or that you have to BS your answer, you have to tap dance. You don't want to do any of that. A lot of you guys don't do the door knocking, don't do the calls because you live in fear of not knowing what to say next. So this is the most versatile script, one of the best scripts that we have for you in this situation. Again, that's a great question. I'll write it down and follow up with you this evening. What's the best number to reach you later today? Also a great way to get their phone number.
That's right. But you could also say, listen, I want to make sure I give you the best information or answer your question correctly. So I'm going to do some real homework on that, and I'll get back with you later today. Now, there's 2 different directions that most inexperienced agents will go. Number one, frankly, if they don't have a script as to what to say when asked a question, number one, they're going to avoid doing the work in the first place. And yes, I'm talking about you analyticals, because you're going to try to over-prepare. You're going to somehow think that you need to have the answers to all questions before actually doing the work. That is a mistake. Or on the other end of the spectrum, you're going to have people that try to BS their answers. In other words, you're going to get a question and you're going to, wing the answer. And guess what? The seller's going to know that you're BSing. People can pick that up.
Always they can.
Yep. But here's the other thing. Who's to say that seller didn't ask you a question that they already knew the answer to, just to test you to see if you knew the answer? So when you're faced with a question that you don't know the answer to, opposed to letting your ego tell you that you're being judged for not knowing the answer, do the smart professional thing and say, that is a fantastic question. I'm going to make sure I get the correct information for you, and I'll let you know. What do you say? In an hour or so, I'll give you a call. By the way, what's your phone number?
There you are. So point number 6, enhance your door knocking by being sure to knock on any homes which have expired in the past several years, not just months, but years. Check for sale by owners as well, and make the most of your door knocking by starting with those expireds or for sale by owners, then expand your door knocking route around them. This is a great way to make sure you're super efficient. And our coaching members who do this, I have lots and lots of stories where they say, it always starts with, "You're not going to believe this. I was door knocking. I hit an expired that was, 2 years old." And they said, "You know what? I think maybe we're ready to get it back on the market. Share with me what you can do for us." And the great thing about that is you probably can not just get the price that they expired at a couple years ago, but possibly even more for them.
Now, some of you are going to door knocking or stumble across tenants. That's great as well. You'd be surprised how frequently the tenants actually want to purchase the property that they're renting. They just don't know quite how to approach the owner of the property, or maybe it's being managed through a property management company and they don't know how to go past the property management company and actually make an offer to the seller. Who knows, right? So the moral of the story is have your mind open to all opportunities, because opportunities are what you create when you become a very powerful, proactive lead generator.
Exactly. Point number 7, make your door knocking a habit, not a random activity.
Or not an activity that you do only when you're feeling desperate.
Yeah, that's right. Don't wait for that to happen. Schedule yourself to prospect the same neighborhood every month and track how many homes you're knocking on. If the neighborhood has 200 homes, knocking 10 per day for 20 working days will actually have you meet everyone every month, for example. If you can door knock 20 per day, you'll be even more efficient and could speak with everyone twice per month. Keep in mind that the most successful door knockers have multiple neighborhoods or buildings that they work consistently. You do not have to live in those neighborhoods you knock, but starting with your own community as a good place to get out the door because you probably know your neighborhood best. But the point here is to be super consistent. And then once you've gotten used to it, you can expand neighborhoods, buildings, etc.
Now, the funnel, if you will, for making this work is that when you make contact with someone at their door, you obviously then can put that in your centers of influence and past client list, more of a centers of influence type, and then you can start calling them. So what you can do over time is you will actually build in these communities a very powerful call list that you frankly will have been initiated because the fact that you knocked on their door and provided them something of value, which is information about what's happening in the marketplace. But you do not have to continue to knock on those same doors once you've established a relationship when a call will do. So you can then expand the area, your geographic reach by introducing yourself to new markets. And again, the funnel should effectively work door. Conversation leads to gathering of information, which frankly, in most cases, you can get off a whole bunch of different sources online, but their phone numbers and whatnot. And then you can start calling them. Calling again is going to be more efficient. And if you happen to live in an area where it's super hot or super cold, well, guess what? Calling is going to be something you're going to want to do as well. And you're going to want to move that conversation along to the phone as fast as you can. But please, please, please do not be one of these agents who thinks you're going to somehow load them up into Facebook and you're going to start dripping on them in Facebook and chasing them around and stalking them on social. Don't do it. No. It's 99% of the time an enormous waste of money. So absolutely positively, don't move away from doing the proactive lead generation.
It is your number one job in real estate. And another related to that, don't hire a virtual assistant to do it for you either.
Yeah, exactly. By the way, yes, we are still allowing people to enroll in Premier Coaching for free. And all you have to do is text the word Premier to 47372. Text the word Premier to 47372. And that does include a daily semi-private coaching call with one of our Harris certified coaches. Guys, we're not holding anything back with this. You get real estate treasure map, the 90-day massive action plan, a lot of our scripts that pertain to calling sellers, expires and for sale by owners, your 12-month social media plan. I mean, there's so much. Well, how about this? A new section we're putting up there for probate. Those of you wanting to get into probate. What else is in the first section that they get? The second they click they text Premier to 47372.
Well, they have a choice of business plans depending on what their situation is. The real estate treasure map is, of course, our most robust business plan. It takes you actually a few days to personalize and get that done, but it's very powerful. We have a survival plan for those of you who maybe should have gotten started a little bit earlier on making it through real estate in the first place. But that's a survival plan that does not require you to spend any money, for example. And then we have the very popular 90-day massive action plan. So you get those in your first day. You can choose and get to work right away. And of course, our daily semi-private coaching sessions with our Harris certified coaches who are all very experienced, not just with the market you just came out of, but also with a shifting, changing market. And they coach all over the country, Canada, etc.
And coaches who have sold real estate, who have managed real estate teams and brokerages.
And are currently licensed.
And who are currently licensed. Well, it's important to say that. Yeah. They're not just people reading scripts as some other quote-unquote coaching companies, or people that have never actually sold real estate before. They're calling themselves real estate coaches, which I think is amazing. Mm-hmm. But anyway, bottom line, guys, text the word Premier to 47372. Text the word Premier, PREMIER to 47372, or just go to members.timandjulieharris.com. Remember, when texting, message and data rates may apply.
Yes, so point number 7 was all about making your door knocking a habit, not a random activity. And when you've done that, you will then be able to do the next important thing, which is tracking your ratios. For example, do you set an appointment every 20 contacts? If you knew that that was your ratio, wouldn't you door knock on 20 homes every day?
You bring up an interesting point here. I want you to really drill down on your minds what Julie just said. Are you setting an appointment for every X number of contacts? That is going back to the point of doing this, any kind of proactive lead generation. It's not doing PSAs. You're not doing public service announcements, letting them know about a new listing. Our scripts and the whole intent of this is, yes, to provide helpful information to folks, but mostly it's for you to generate a lead. So the conversations that we've designed for you to have in our scripts are going to result in you setting appointments. You setting appointments ideally with sellers who are motivated to sell. You're not just going out there to, meet the neighbors. That's not the point. You're not running for political office. Right. You're going out there to generate leads, and you won't do it unless you know what to say. And that's what we teach you in Premier Coaching.
But it is comforting once you've built that skill and you're really consistent to know what your own personal ratios are. Everybody's a little bit different on that. But if you knew that it takes you 10 contacts or 20 contacts to make a qualified appointment, I mean, isn't that motivational to know that all I have to do is make 20 more contacts and I'm in my next appointment?
Well, look at the two paradigms, right? So proactive lead generation is like what Julie just described. You wake up every single morning and let's just focus on phone calls. When you are an experienced over-the-phone prospector and you're calling, for example, expireds or for sale by owners and the rest of it, people that are actually motivated to sell their home, you're going to set an appointment for a seller to list their house with you, usually for every maybe 5 to 7 appointments. Now, when you're getting started, it's going to be, every 5 to 7 contacts, conversations with decision-making adults. Now, when you're getting started, your ratios won't be that good. But as you consistently do it over months, sometimes a little bit longer, just depending how efficient you are, you will then start realizing this is the best thing you could possibly have ever done in your business, because you're going to wake up every morning knowing that you're going to be able to set a pre-qualified listing appointment if you make your, let's say, 12 contacts. 12 contacts to sellers, and using example of expired listings, following our script, following our system, asking the right questions in the right order, you will set a pre-qualified listing appointment every single day. You want to know how listing agents are listing so many houses in this market where everybody else is worrying about their TikTok profiles? This is exactly how. They're not buying the business, guys. They're earning it because they have the skills. Remember, knowledge equals confidence. Ignorance equals fear. Get the confidence that only comes from having the knowledge.
Yes, and I just have to remind everyone that we do a really deep dive drill down into all how these ratios and things like that work in our Harris Rules book, which you can get on Amazon.
Well, not only Amazon, but we were in Barnes & Noble the other day.
And Barnes & Noble, yes.
Yeah, I'll tell you guys a quick funny story. So we always go into Barnes & Noble and whatever local bookstores we happen across when we're traveling. And we were in Barnes & Noble at Fashion Island in Orange County.
Yeah, California.
And sure enough, we went in there and there was the book. Now, sometimes the book is like next to the mindset section. It's on like the top shelf or the second shelf. Other times, it's basically, generally speaking, pretty easy to find. So we couldn't find it right away. Julie found it. It was on the bottom shelf in Barnes & Noble. And the book right next door to it was, what was it?
Crypto Dad.
Crypto Dad, which I thought was hilarious.
Funny
but
placement.
in any event, we took a picture of it and put it in our Instagram profile, which is at Tim and Julie Harris. But yes, so you don't have to buy it on Amazon. Obviously, Amazon's the most efficient way. And yes, the book is available on Audible. And no, we did not read the book, but still, it's worth a listen. It's worth a read. It's definitely a great roadmap for your real estate careers.
Exactly. Point number 8.
It's called Harris Rules, by the way.
Yes.
Over 500 5-star reviews.
Indeed, and you can add your own too. We thank you for that. All right, point number 8, don't just knock, become part of the community. Go to events like block parties, homeowners association meetings, garage sales. Start with your own neighborhood since you probably know it the best. You can join nextdoor.com / the name of the neighborhood. Most of you guys know about that. Nextdoor.com / Oak Creek or whatever, to monitor what's happening around the community. Become the agent that everybody knows. When you walk down the street and they're mowing the lawn, they need to say, "Hey, Bob, how's it going? How's real estate?" Give you a quick example of this. Tammy Irby in Virginia. One of the things that she does, and she has absolutely gotten really good leads off of this. She goes to I think it's Facebook, or is it Amazon Marketplace, where people put like things, she went to one where they were selling their front porch furniture.
Facebook
Marketplace, because you can see where people are and, communicate with each other,
Yeah.
pop by, have a conversation. And so once you are more and more embedded in a community, you start to actually know everybody, and that person knows somebody else.
Tammy Irving story. You got away
Tammy
from it.
Irby, yes.
So you went to a...
She went I think she was buying some front porch furniture, and she had a conversation that led to her, I think she ended up showing that person one of her listings, and I can't remember exactly the rest of the story, but somehow it ended up with a listing for her. Point being, embed yourself in the community. If somebody's doing they... Back where we're from, Worthington, Ohio, the marching band is doing Tag Day, where the band kids go along and they actually door knock for donations, right? So through that community, if you support that and you support something like Tag Day, then everybody's going to know you. They're going to appreciate you. You can expand this into, sponsoring softball teams or having a block party at your neighborhood park. There's all sorts of things where you can then connect the dots. So it's not just about the door knocking. It's about creating that sense of community and making that neighborhood part of your center of influence.
Now, along those lines, Julie and I are strong advocates of being, and I'm only mentioning this because everything is so political nowadays, and you are going to be drawn into conversations sometimes that are political in nature. It seems like everyone wants to pull you in so you can somehow share their opinion on whatever, stance they have. Now, Julie and I are big advocates of being Republicrats. That's where you basically can see both perspectives and you avoid talking about politics. But I've come to realize, and I had someone actually in San Francisco that pointed this out to me, and she did it, and I actually changed my perspective on it. If you're living in an area that's super duper partisan, which isn't the way it's always been, but it is now, yeah, and if you're not essentially flying that, proverbial flag, you probably won't get much business.
Yeah.
So in those cases...
When in Rome, basically,
Yeah,
right?
when in Rome. So in those cases, maybe having political conversations. But how about this? This was her point. She said she got all of her business from her involvement in her various political organizations and her community outreach things and all these other things she was doing. So yeah, I mean, she was right. I was wrong. And it's a really great, perspective. But you have to plan accordingly. If you're in an area that's balanced, which is most of the country, based on people's political views, don't talk politics. Don't talk religion. These should be things that are common sense that frankly aren't anymore. People think that they're entitled to have an opinion on everything. People think they're obligated to have an opinion on everything. You're not. You're there to be the real estate professional.
We did a podcast ages ago about Stoicism, and one of the things that the Stoics say, well, you guys can Google that, is you don't have to have an opinion on everything.
Yeah.
You don't have to have an opinion on everything.
And that does piss some people off, though.
It does, but it's really not appropriate in a business conversation to even go down that path because, the point of scripts is to have a predictable conversation with a predictable outcome. And I think when you get overly political or opinionated, you can't really create your own outcome.
You can't. So look, bottom line, be excited, be motivated. You are in the right place at the right time. You want me to prove it to you? It's very simple. You are selling something, a home, that everybody aspires to have many of, or wants to downsize, upsize. You're selling something that everybody needs. We might be in a recession. We might be in some sort of economic reset. We might have, more stories of alien visitation and whatever else might come,
Probably,
on the headline news today. But who cares? You're selling something that everybody needs. Not everybody needs a, new pair of shoes. Not everybody needs a new car. Not everybody needs to have 15 subscriptions to 13,000 different streaming services. You guys get the point? Not everybody needs a new computer. Not everybody needs a haircut. They can do it. Unfortunately, I'm letting Julie do, which is, she's cut my hair and did a horrible job.
Sorry.
God bless you, but it was terrible. I look like I'm joining it looks like I've joined the Marines, basically.
It'll grow out.
Look, well, you guys get the point. So not everybody needs to pay to have their hair cut. They can let their wife butcher it. Not everybody needs to have a vacation. They can have a staycation. But everybody needs a house.
That's right. Well, I remember your interview with Frederick Eklund,
Yep.
Million Dollar Listing New York, or I think that's the name of it. And he said, all I have to do is walk down the street and talk to anybody because everyone is thinking about real estate all the time. Buying, selling, renting, leasing, investing. It's on everybody's mind. And I think particularly in our current situation with a shifting market, where you get a variety of headlines that are positive or negative. What's happening with inventory? What's happening with prices? What does it mean that, there's some price adjustments? We haven't seen those in a while. Everyone has questions about what's happening in real estate. So get back to our previous points where you're going to have those facts. You're going to be the leader, as Tim mentioned at the top of this call. Be the one who has those answers, but don't be a secret agent. You have to get there and out there and talk to everyone.
That's right. Guys, take massive action. Look at this opportunity. Look at this changing market. Look at the world that we're all living in as your opportunity to finally become the person you've always dreamt of being. It does not matter how old you are, how educated you are, how smart you are, how handsome you are, how pretty you are. It does not matter any of those things. What matters is your mindset of being of service to other people. Nothing will make you feel more engaged with life than helping somebody, even if it's only to let them know what their house is worth. Guys, be enthusiastic. You're all in a very blessed position, provided you actually take action. So do the smart thing now. Take this information that we've given you on this podcast. We have literally thousands of past podcasts, thousands of past YouTube videos. You guys can absorb lots of information. When you're ready to take your career seriously, become a Premier Coaching member. The smartest amongst you haven't waited. You actually joined us months ago, and now you're way ahead of the curve in this changing market. Premier Coaching is free. What the heck are you waiting for? Text the word Premier to 47372. Text the word Premier to 47372. Or you can simply go to members.timandjulieharris.com. You guys have a fantastic day. Tomorrow is part 3.
This podcast is a part of the C-Suite Radio Network. For more top business podcasts, visit c-suiteradio.com.